well, I'm back in the woods, and this time I'm going to be sleeping in the cabin behind me. Just made a burger, very simple one. We had a barbecue yesterday with the family. Just bought some of the leftover meat that we didn't cook. I didn't really bring any trimmings or veg or anything like that, but I'm quite happy with just 2 burgers and a beer. It's a lovely evening, it really is so nice. You can hear the lambs and the sheep to my left. The guys have just been in the field and they've just been shearing them, getting all the wool off because they're getting into summer now. And it was nice to see. It was a real English scene of the sheepdog herding up the sheep and the lambs. It was really good, nice to see. Got the fire going. I've just put some more wood on, and the cabin has been a dumping ground. It's been so bad. I've left it in a bit inside, that is. I've left it for just dumping tools and everything like that, which is what it's for. It's storage. But I just haven't cleaned it, tidied it. It's been very neglected, if I'm honest. So what I'm actually here for is I'm with the other woodland owners earlier today and tomorrow. Is we're repairing the main track that comes into the woodland. It's a big track. It's really boggy clay at the moment, and none of us can drive up it. Even with the 4-wheel drives on the Defenders and Land Rovers, the ruts get so big they just bottom out. So that's the job. I'm up here working. It's kind of a working trip really, but I thought I'd bring you guys along on the journey and the adventure while we camp out for tonight. Back on the machines tomorrow. We've got a trencher, a digger and a dumper truck, as well as manual labour tools and things like that. I'll show you those in a bit, but yeah, I'm gonna have my burger. I've poured everything out of the cabin, tents, tools, brooms, brushes, bits of wood, all sorts, and I've just set my bed up, and I'm gonna put the tools and everything back in. It's just in a lot more of a tidy fashion, but it's gonna be a nice evening, hopefully. Thanks for joining me. Turn the lights off for this one because I need the other mains plug. But plug her in and I'll show you. Press it on. Look at that. That's really cool. So this is an external cabin light, and it's a vintage light. We actually installed it with my dad. It's one of his collections from, I think it was 30-40 years ago, he was saying. It draws a fair bit of power, about 48 watts, which compared to my indoor lights, which only draw, I think, 14 or 7. It basically draws a lot of power from the battery, but I wonder if I change the bulb to a more efficient bulb, if I can, with that fitting. It's an old light, then yeah, maybe we'll get a bit more battery life from it. But it's brilliant for, especially when it's pitch black, for just being able to see the entire cabin area out the front. And we installed this relatively quickly. Just a bracket we screwed in, and we had to wedge a piece of wood behind the bracket because of the angles of the slats of the ash on the front. We needed to get that bracket as straight as possible, so we just wedged a piece of wood in, screwed that in, and then we had to take the plug apart, take the wire out, drill a hole through the corner of the cabin, feed that wire through that hole, just a small one, and then pull the mains cable back through, then rewire it back into the plug, and then it worked. And I kind of tacked it in a little bit around the roof of the inside of the cabin, and now we have an exterior light that really matches and goes with the kind of look and authenticness of the cabin. Really pleased with that. good awning. It's about 2 meters it comes out. I think it's nearly 2 meters. Just get the legs out. Easier with 2 people, but we'll try and make this work. Okay. Look at that. That's 2.5 meters that comes out. It doesn't look it. That's not even the best bit. Watch this. There is a small cable here, and inside the cabin is an attachment for that cable to get it lined up. It's all wired up here. BC. Plug that in there. This just lit up, and if you watch, ta-da! We have brightness levels on and off. We can go dimmer. That's as dim as it goes. That's as bright as it goes. And watch this. Boom! Orange light for the bugs. And that's a mixture of both. Hands down, that is my new favourite addition to the cabin. And it can just roll away, it can keep the rain off us when it's raining. I found on the really hot days, it's a lovely place to cast some shade, especially when I'm out here with Jackson, he's getting a bit hot. This just throws some shade over the front of the cabin. Jax can sit under there, I can sit under there, or Dad, or anyone in my family. And we can just enjoy some time in the shade, under the cover, protected from rain, but also at night with the orange, excuse me Mr. Lamb, with the orange light, which apparently attracts bugs a lot less than white light does. So that's ideal because we're coming into summer. Such a lovely evening. Last week as well was a really nice camp. Not so much the nicest night I've had, but it was a nice camp. Interesting shelter. If you haven't seen last week's video, you want to check it out on my channel. Just go back a video. Very interesting shelter. Very uncomfortable, but it was fun. And I think there's going to be some more additions I'm going to just add to it, just to make life a bit more comfortable when I need to either duck under for when it's stormy, or I'm cooking lunch and it's raining and things, and just when I'm doing general management of the woodland. It's just handy. It's nice to have the addition of the porch, but without it being permanent. I know that sounds strange. I love porches and verandas that look really nice, but it's just, in terms of footprint, it just keeps the footprint quite small when it's not in use. But obviously when you go to use it, you get 2.5 meters of coverage. A lot of people have said, oh yeah, but it doesn't, go over the door. Well, the thing is we've got an overhang of 2.5 feet nearly of the cabin over the front of the door anyway, like that. If you imagine the door's here, the outside's here. We've got that much overhang anyway, so I can stand under the door in the pouring rain, or stand on the doorway, and still not get soaked. So it doesn't really matter that it's not over the door, because I'll just step out, turn right one step, and then I'm underneath it. And if I did put it over the door, I'd lose this corner, and then someone who was sat on the end here would get wet. It just worked. It fit. Anyway, earlier I said I'd talk to you about what we were doing on the track. I'm going to roll that footage now so you can see some of the machines we're using. It is going to get dark in the next half an hour. So when it does, we'll be back inside. In fact, I might turn that light off. Let's turn this off and just conserve a bit of the battery. Because it does drain it, that one. So these lights, the inside cabin lights, and this awning light is drawing 30 watts, so not really a lot at all, because they're more modern LED lights. So this is the trencher that we've been using. It's very narrow, so it's almost like a giant chainsaw, except the bits, the blades aren't sharp, they just move the clay to the side. So it spins around like that, goes down into the ground, pulls the clay towards it, and then there's an auger, giant kind of auger the other side that spits the clay out away from the trench. Pretty cool little tool actually. I've never seen it before. You stand on the back plate there and then you drive it up the top. So this is the auger that spins as this clay comes around here from the teeth. This auger then pushes it out away from where it rotates down here. These white lines are cross drains, and we're making them around about 40 centimeters deep. And that way any water that flows down the track is going to hit these cross drains and then go into the main drainage ditches, which there's one huge one on this side. We're digging a narrow drainage ditch on that side as well. And that, yeah, water doesn't sit and pool, because that's the problem that's happening. The water's sitting on top of the clay, it's pooling, and then we're just getting total mush. There's no drainage. So that gets filled with gravel. Well, a membrane gets put down first and then gravel on top, and then it can be driven over. This is the digger we're using. It's a little, I think it's 2.5 or maybe 3 ton. And this is essentially digging out, we're digging out the wheel ruts, where the ruts have been made from the vehicles, and then we're going to fill in the ruts only and pack it down with a whacker. That way it saves on a bit of costs rather than putting hardcore on the whole track, the whole width. We're just doing the ruts only, and the vehicles can just stay on those ruts as they go to their various woodlands. I think there's a 40 centimetre bucket on that at the moment, or 18 inch, I can't remember. Smaller bucket. And then right down there in the distance is the 3 ton dumper truck, which we're using to ferry the hardcore up here into the woodlands. We're about a kilometre into the woodlands where I'm based now, so that's been really handy. And you can see on the left of the screen there the white membrane. Here's a perfect example of the cross drain. This is 40 centimetres deep. It's got a white membrane first around the outside, or the inside of it, and then there's this gravel going all the way along, and then it's going to go down there as well, except in that section we've got a pipe, about probably 8 centimetre diameter pipe, and that's going to help drain water all the way down the bottom of the hill so we don't get any pooling or puddling. You can actually see the white membrane in the distance. There's the drain pipe, again about 8 centimetres, 10 centimetres diameter probably, membrane underneath, and then the gravel, and then the membrane gets folded on itself like that, and we put more gravel in, which is what you can see there. The reason we use the membrane is because it stops any small dirt particles getting into the pipe and clogging it up. So it's the water is essentially filtered through the gravel, then through the membrane, then into little holes in the pipe, by which time it should just be water that runs through, and it just encourages that runoff a lot better. So our first time doing this, one of the woodland owners has done lots of kind of research into it. So we've had a good tidy up. I've put my bed out there for now against that back wall. It was just a total mess. Hung up most of the tools that were on the floor. Opened up that window. That's my view outside the back window, by the way. It's darker than it is on the camera. Camera's boosted. And then turn around here. I've sorted this corner. I've still got some flooring to put in. This is the old kitchen old flooring from my kitchen at home. It's this plastic type flooring, vinyl. Sorry, hard plastic vinyl, click flooring type thing. I've still got to finish it along there. That's the messy corner, which I've tried to tidy. Then we've got the power unit, which powers all the lights, which are all pinned in, and the outside lights as well with the awning, and then my little shelf here and my window. which I need to open back up again. It's not much, I know, but built it with Dad. Really proud of it. It's using all the ash from the giant ash tree in my woodland, and it serves a purpose. That's all we need it to do. Right, it's pretty much dark, but it's going to rain overnight, and I'd rather just not get the awning soaked and then have to put it away. So I'm going away for a week to the Bushcraft show. So I'm going to put the awning away. I've enjoyed a few hours underneath it, and then start setting up inside. Cozy in here. You don't feel any of the wind, obviously, and things like that. Oh, way less bugs too. This might even be my first night I've ever slept in here. I don't normally sleep in here. Well, it's 9:30 at night. I'm going to save some camera battery and footage and say goodnight. And I will catch up with you guys tomorrow, where we get out into the woods and get on the machines, hopefully. I'll see you then. Well, you join me a few days later. It's been a bit of a crazy couple of days. I've not been in the cabin for those few days. This is the first time, I think, ever in my YouTube career that I've actually bailed on an overnight and had to go home. So I just looked back at the footage because I actually left all my camera gear behind. But basically, as I did that closeout to you, I think it was 9:30 or something like that when I was going to bed, and I laid down, and then about 10 o'clock-ish or just before 10, I started to feel quite rough, quite poorly, and I was thinking, maybe it's this burger that I've just eaten, which was probably at 9 o'clock or something, about half an hour before I was going to bed. And I was like, this is touch and go here, how rough I was feeling. So I basically made the decision to go home. As I was in the car, things really started to turn, and I felt very sick, quite like I was going to be sick really quickly. This was about 15, I was probably about 25 minutes into the journey when I started to really feel this. Anyway, I managed to get home, get into bed. I thought, I've got to lie down here. So I laid down in bed, and within not even 5 minutes of laying down, I was running to the toilet, violently sick. It was actually really painful in my stomach. It was like my stomach just wanted everything out. I couldn't get anything. I know it sounds gruesome, but honestly, it was like my stomach was coming inside out. I put it down to the burger. I think what had happened was that meat was... We'd had a family barbecue on the Sunday, on the day before, and I'd left some meat out next to the barbecue as I was cooking, and normally that's fine, especially with the burgers. I wouldn't do it with chicken, but it's in direct sunlight. It's about 22 degrees, 23 degrees Celsius, and normally I'd leave it out for, I don't know, half an hour, and I could put it back in the fridge. I think this time I left it out for well over an hour, and then I put it back in the fridge, and then I put it in a cool bag with an ice block and brought it out in here to the woods. But I was working with the other woodland owners for the full day, so it had defrosted, and it was cool when I cooked it. It wasn't warm, but I think that's what's happened, and it got to a point where it had got cooked in the sun, put it in the fridge, bacteria had probably grown on it, and then I ingested that. Was violently sick. I'm glad I made the right call and went home. And then I've come out. I took over a day to recover for that. I was pretty much bedbound for about a day, and then the next day we are now. That was Monday night, and it's now Thursday. So my wife's now feeling pretty poorly, so we don't know if it's a bug or what, but I still am convinced it's the burger. But either way, I'm back in the woods. I didn't want to pretend that I'd done the overnight and then come back and say everything was normal, because it wasn't. That's just the way it went. Sometimes these things happen. But I'm back out. Dad's actually going to join me in a bit with Jax. Obviously the other woodland owners have been cracking on with the track, so I've got the Bushcraft show in a day or so, so I really need to be preparing for that. So it's been a bit of a spanner in the works, but I feel a lot better, which is the main thing, and it's a beautiful day in the woods. The sun's coming through. I think that might be them now, actually. Anyway, what a crazy few days. Well, apologies, it's not quite been the episode I thought it would be. Obviously I was going to hopefully get out more, help with the machinery and things. It's just been one of those weeks. The timing's been really quite bad, of when I was feeling sick to getting prepared for the show this weekend as well. It is what it is. You've got to take these things as they come. But thank you for watching. I do appreciate it. If you're interested in this type of video and how we built the cabin and everything, there's a whole series on it called My Woodland Life. I'll link to that in the description below. I will come back and actually do a full night in it at some point. But there's actually things I need to sort out in there in terms of storage. I don't want it to be just a dumping ground. I want to actually put some shelves in there for things, some cupboards for things, because everything at the moment is just all over the floor. So we're going to sort that out a lot more over the coming months. The wind has picked up now, and it's a little bit colder than when I last came, that's for sure. But thank you for watching. Don't forget to check out my other YouTube channel, Life of Mike. I'll put a link in the description below, and my dad's channel, TA Fishing. Thank you all for watching, and I'll see you in the next video. Well, Dad, that was a disaster night for me.
Yeah, rather glad I didn't have any input in the cooking there. There's not much wrong with my scrambled eggs, really, was there?
The pulverised egg is actually more appealing now. Your trees, Dad, you've been in to investigate as you came up.
I've been to investigate with the dog. He's helped dig up roots and stuff like that, as he is now. Yeah, really pleased with them. I'm really pleased with them. I mean, considering when you get a conker seed, you plant it, you grow it. Now, I've got one 3 years old. These are 3 years old that we planted with Mike. I'm trying to think, the other one is 4 years old. Honest to God, we were filming it, so it's here. And every time I look at it, it is so satisfying to think it's come from a conker to that in 4 years. And I can see how people get satisfaction from planting trees, not when they're little things, but when they start to grow. I wanted they almost put a third on each year when they're young. But listen, you see the leaves out, look at the canopy.
Yes.
So it's going to be tough unless you're one of these big boys.
Yeah, that's the thing, is light and water.
Yes.
Because these big trees will take a lot of water. We're going to have to water them a lot, I think, this summer.
I think because we've had so much rain this winter and spring, I think that's the result. That's why we've done. But you can see
We'll go and
it
have a
on the
look.
way out. Yeah.
Let's have a look.
Red oak has
Yes.
come right back.
Has it?
Absolutely come right back.
Really? I will have a
We
look.
saved it by putting the wire.
That's heavy shade, that one, isn't it?
Yeah, but if you look at the leaves there, oh, Jack's digging it up.
Yeah.
They're quite lighter colour, but the one over here in the sun got more. Is it chlorophyll?
Yeah.
I mean, it hasn't got that yellowness about the leaves. They look much fresher, much stronger.
That's going well,
Well
though.
pleased with that. Yeah.
So we'll ring these with some...
Yeah, they need the mesh, and the ones in the mesh down here. But that was dead in the winter. We had two tiny shoots. That's it. Look there.
Now it's come up again.
That's
yeah,
come. That's the leaf of the red oak. Then, so I know.
yeah. Kind of like a maple. Sort of
Yes, it
similar.
does look at it, and this one's doing really well. Part light, part shade. That's going really well.
Yeah, look at that.
Proper tree.
Conker trees, that'd be interesting.
Yeah,
There's
it'd be
no
interesting.
conker trees here, so that would be interesting.
Yeah. but
Might
we,
get some sweet chestnut next.
we need to sort the
The ring, yeah.
ring out there. Yeah.
Right.